Well, a very warm welcome into this special episode of the HuddleUK podcast. And of course, if you've been listening to the show recently, we've been going around all the divisions in the NFL, chatting to the writers and special guests who support those teams. But today, we're going to take a bit of a sidestep, and for good reason as well. We've been busy the last few months trying to line up guests, active NFL players and former NFL players with UK connections to join us on the show. And I'm delighted to say that we do, in fact, have our first one today. We've got the Buffalo Bills offensive lineman Travis Clayton, drafted last year in the 7th round. Obviously missed his rookie season with a shoulder injury. Jake is alongside me today for the entire episode, our Buffalo Bills writer. We've already spoken to Travis before we record this intro. It's a brilliant conversation, isn't it, Jake? It was such a lovely guy, so personable as well.
Yeah, I think that's what really struck me was really spoke really well, candidly, a lot of insight, and a lot of maturity for someone who's relatively young, thrust into like such a interesting experience. And yeah, I think that really comes through an interview well.
Yeah, only 24 years old. It sort of hit us halfway through the conversation that we're 30 now. We're basically old blokes. I think I'm watching sport, and I'm thinking I'm watching guys older than me. And
Yeah,
now a lot of the time, they're a good 5, 6 years younger.
I think are we technically older than the likes of Todd Gurley and Sonny Michel? Because I think that's I think we're close.
Oh,
I
that's
think
not something I want to think about. Todd Gurley's 30 years old. Okay, he's 31 this year, so he's just a little bit older than me.
It's just the
Yeah.
fact that our NFL careers would be very cooked right now if we were running backs,
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
we'd be done.
sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're
So,
both way too tall to be running backs as well.
oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't work for us. Maybe we
Yeah.
can take a leaf out of Travis's book and learn
My
how to play it on the lines.
my height is absolutely the reason why I didn't make the NFL. Yeah. That's the truth.
Nothing else in it at all. Yes, same for me as well. Nothing to do with the bad knees and bad back. You've got the body of an 80-year-old, but the mind of a young man still. And as I said, it's a fantastic chat. So whether you're a Bills fan or a supporter of any other team, this is well worth a listen. It's great chats as well about, coming up from, being a boy from the UK, wanting to play in the NFL. And it didn't work first time for him as well, which was interesting. Didn't know about that until the conversation. Also didn't realize he played football, as in our football, soccer football, beforehand as well. So lots of nice little bits like that in the conversation for you to enjoy. Just before we get into it, as always, I do a little bit of a rabble before. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, remember to click the subscribe button. If you're listening or watching clips on whether that be TikTok, YouTube, X, God knows where else we are, just remember to click the follow, subscribe, like button, whatever that may be. And of course, all the online content still going up on the HuddleUK website. Jake's got his Bills content. I've got my Chargers content. And the 30 other writers as well have got all their stuff as well. We've got pretty much a story every day, even during this off season. So that's been really good and productive for the website. So make sure to go check all that out. Jake, have you got anything else to add just before we get into the interview?
Absolutely not. Let's get to the good stuff.
Let's get to the good stuff. Absolutely right. Okay, so without further ado, enjoy the episode with Travis Clayton. Well, I'm delighted to say the Huddle UK's first time now having an active NFL player joining us, and more than that, a UK-born NFL player, Travis Clayton of the Buffalo Bills. Travis, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Very, very, very well. Jake is joining me, of course, on this episode as our Buffalo Bills writer for the website, and someone who knows far more about the Bills than me, as I'm sure will become apparent as this episode goes on. I wanted to talk about your background first. A boy from Basingstoke. I know you
Yep.
played soccer first,
Yep.
or our version of football. I
Yep.
believe it was for Southampton and other academies. Then rugby, then NFL. Talk me through your journey through all the sports and how you ended up landing here in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I played many sports. I could go on for a long time. When I was younger, my main sport was soccer. I played for my local team, but I'd been scouted by like different teams like Southampton, Chelsea, Reading, Fulham. Um, so none of them actually took off, hence why I didn't become a professional soccer player. But I had trials at those clubs. And then a few years after realizing I wasn't going to be a professional soccer player, I actually turned to tennis. And I played tennis for a little while in Basingstoke. I played some school games, played for like the local club in Basingstoke, which was good. Um, and then from then, a few years after that, I think that was when I had the NFL Academy trial in 2019, I think that was, which was based at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which was a pretty cool experience. I think we were the first guys to actually go onto that field. So that was pretty wild.
Wow, it's a good
Um,
stadium, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it's a good stadium. Not a great soccer team, but it's a good stadium.
That's how we like to start off strong. Good.
Um, but that moment in time in my life, it just didn't fit for me. So I didn't continue with that. Once I gave that up, I then started to play rugby for Basingstoke. Um, which is I've always loved rugby. I always kind of wanted to go into rugby as well, but there were just other things that I was doing at the time. So I played rugby for a few years down at Basingstoke Rugby Club, and then the NFL actually kept in contact with me from when I left the NFL academy. And then they came up with they gave me the opportunity to go for the International Player Pathway Program in Florida.
I want to know where you played positionally in football, because at 6'7", when you said tennis as well, I'm thinking of Del Potro and these sort of really tall tennis
Yeah, tall
players.
people. Yeah,
Where were you in football? And you played on the wing as well for rugby. You must have been one of
yeah.
the
For
strongest
rugby,
wingers.
I was on the wing, a bit like Jonah Luma style. um, but with soccer, I was playing like holding midfielder, and then as I got older, I got further and further back, and ended up playing centre half.
It's funny because before you joined Don, I said to Jake, he played football. There's no way he played holding midfielder at 6'7", but you did. So
Yeah, well, I haven't really been this. Well, I've been tall, obviously, but I've never been extremely tall. So, yeah,
It's like a Didi Hamann like esque holding midfielder
yeah,
at six foot
yeah.
seven. So
Fellaini.
yeah, Russell Lady, yeah, not quite got the hair for that though.
Nah, 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 nah.
So when the IPP came knocking then a couple of years ago, obviously you joined on that as a rugby player. You'd have been alongside Lewis Summit. That must have been quite nice as a player who liked playing rugby. What was that whole experience like getting back into it? Because as you said, you it didn't work out for you, or it wasn't the right time for you back in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, I always had regret kind of leaving in 2019. So when they reached out to me to give me this opportunity, it was a no-brainer. Like I was always gonna go, and the whole experience, like the way the program was laid out, and like the way they treated us was amazing. And I literally couldn't complain about anything. The way that the international pair pathways ran.
You went from a winger, was a lot of carrying the ball in rugby, to playing offensive line now. Was there
Yeah,
ever a time where you considered other positions during that period?
I mean, in 2019 with the NFL Academy, they put me D end, but I was a little bit lighter at the time. But and I just got bigger. The offensive lineman was like perfect for me.
You never considered anything like tight end or any of the sort of pass catching roles?
I mean, maybe for my speed, but I just don't think I'd have the stamina for tight end. But the blocking and catching, I think I'd be okay at that.
Because Jake, you were saying to me yesterday when we were talking ahead of this, like your speed, Travis, was well, not record breaking, but it was like the best for some 10 years or so at the position.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of that is playing on the wing. Like in training, we did a lot of sprint work. And obviously that is ideal for a 4-yard dash.
well, it's the best since Tyrone Armstead, which isn't a bad company to have. He
Yeah,
ran 4.71 to your 4.79, but that was
4.71's pretty quick.
that's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Did you know you had that in you, or were you surprised yourself when you clocked that time?
I mean, I don't know if you saw a video online like a few days before the pro day, but Lewis actually said I was going to run a 4.7 when we went out for dinner, and it actually happened. So I knew it was going to be quick, but I didn't know if I was going to touch 4.7. I thought it was going to be maybe like middle 4.8s.
because you're obviously doing this with presumably lots of like scouts and coaches sort of thing
Yeah.
around you. What was the reaction like? Did others expect that from you? What was the sort of reaction? Because you see that in at the combine, you see them react like that. So I mean, it must have been quite a surprise.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of the scouts were very surprised. Hence why I went on a few of the 1 of 30 visits with other teams. So yeah, they were impressed with the speed for sure.
I've read online that you sort of said that moment when you saw that time, when you saw the reaction, was kind of your moment where you went, okay, I'm in the right place here. I can do this.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But being in the league now, going into my second year, speed is not everything. Speed is definitely not everything.
And you were only the second IPP player to ever get drafted after Jordan Mailata. Another great name, another great company to be involved in, an offensive lineman as well, like yourself. To, I mean, as people looking from the outside in, what is it like being backstage at those events like the draft in Detroit? And that moment, I guess, when you got the call or your agent got the call from Buffalo, were you expecting it?
No, I'll be perfectly honest. I wasn't expecting to be drafted. I thought maybe I would get picked up as an undrafted free agent because a lot of teams had like reached out to myself or my agent saying that we're probably going to pick him up if he doesn't go drafted. Um, but yeah, the call from the Bills completely took me off guard. I was completely blessed, obviously. But yeah, walking out on stage, and just there was just thousands and thousands of people. I didn't even know where to look. I was just still in shock. I kind of had a speech like maybe if I did get drafted, I'll try that, but that just went out the window. The whole thing was just like a blur for about 10 minutes.
You were with some of the guys from the IPP there as well, weren't there? Like Lewis was there as well.
Yeah, they were all there. Byron, Lewis, Pat, Charlie. We were all
Are
there.
are you guys still tight? You still do all keep in contact and friends
Yeah,
from
we
that
we we
experience?
still we still speak. Yeah.
Is there anyone in particular during that experience who you sort of became friends with? I'm not sure if you had like roommates or whatever during that time.
Yeah, I mean, I was roommates with Patrick Murta, so we're pretty close. I see Lewis every time I go back home. We'll meet up. Um, and then the other guys, because like Jotham's in Australia, Charlie, we still Snapchat. Like everyone still keeps in contact with each other.
Show my age here, Snapchat. God, you're 24, aren't you, Travis? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah,
Yeah. See, when you get to your 30s, Snapchat becomes a thing.
yeah.
Mine and Phil's days of running sub 5 40-yard dashes are a long time ago, if ever, if ever.
I was going to say, I'm not sure I ever ran a sub 5
Maybe if
yard.
I'm falling, maybe if I'm falling.
What Buffalo wasn't a team that you not only did you not expect to be drafted, but Buffalo was not one of the teams on your radar at the time, was it?
I mean, I had a Zoom call with the assistant offensive line coach for the Bills a few days prior to the draft. But they weren't really one of the teams that were me and my agent were kind of discussing about. But I'm so happy to be here. It's honestly one of the best organizations in the league. Yeah, everyone's just amazing.
It's probably one of the places in America that's most similar in weather to back home as well.
Yeah.
It's not warm there all year round, is it?
I mean, right now it's pretty hot, but yeah, the winters are pretty wild.
Well, Jake, you'll know this as part of the Bills mafia. That group of fans is one of the best. I know me and Jake were talking before about the people doing all that, who are the top 5 fan bases in the NFL, but the Bills regularly come into that as being a little bit crazy, but particularly loving those snow days, those snow environments up in the north of New York.
I debated actually a couple of years ago. I think it was one of the games where that you basically got a free ticket if you turned up and dug the stadium out. So I debated paying for my flights to come out there, working the rest out as I got there. But that didn't line up. But you never know. Like with the new stadium on the horizon, might not be needed. Actually, I think there's like technology going in that's
Yeah,
not gonna cause that problem quite so much. But hopefully, we don't lose some of that nostalgia because
yeah,
yeah,
that's what
the
we
snow
love. That's what the
games.
fans love.
Well, this is probably the silliest question of this entire podcast, but what's the biggest difference between Basingstoke and Buffalo for you? What is in the
Where I live in Basingstoke, Orchard Park is kind of similar to that. There's a lot of fields, a lot of farmers' fields. But apart from that, I wouldn't really say there's too much. Basingstoke is obviously quite small, quite a small city. I mean, the winters are considerably different, and it gets a lot colder here. Um, but yeah, there isn't much difference.
Do you mind me asking, like, what was your, so normally people say, like, what was your welcome to the NFL moment? But what was your welcome to Buffalo moment in terms of, like, is it the weather? Is it the food? Is it, like, the fans? Like, what sort of, was there a moment where you thought, like, this is Buffalo, like the Buffalo experience?
I think there's two. I think the main one would be the weather, just because I don't think there's anywhere. Well, I don't know if there's anywhere in America that has snow like it does here. And like the way everyone will say "Go Bills," like it's like hello basically in Buffalo to everyone, even in like the supermarkets. Yeah, it's just it's just great. Everyone's amazing here.
Do you get recognized then, walking around the streets of Buffalo now?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really hide. So,
Good point. Yeah, sorry, yeah, and that was a really silly question.
yeah, people might not know my name, but they'll know that I play football.
Yeah, if you see a 6'7" guy walking around, you're like, "Yeah, what does
Yeah,
he do?" Yeah, I guess that stands out there. Buffalo, obviously, Jake mentioned food. The wings is the big thing everyone talks about.
yeah,
I've never got there myself. Me and Jake share a good mutual friend called John who went there a few years ago and raved about it. Is it as good as everyone says, the
yeah.
wings and the food there?
It's insane. It's I don't know what it is about them, but the wings are just great here. Like I've never really tried blue cheese till I came here. I've tried like ranch before, but the blue cheese here with the wings is on another level.
You just beat me because blue cheese and ranch is the old American debate when it comes to wings.
Yeah.
So you've been converted. You're team blue cheese now.
Yeah, I'm team blue cheese.
And do you have a spot? Do you have like a favorite place that you found in Buffalo?
Yeah, there's two, but the main one I would say are Barbill. Barbill wings are they're just like cooked perfectly and the flavor's just like the flavor's ridiculous.
So moving on from the city then to the team, there's so much I want to talk about, different players. One of the players who always comes across as a great character on TV interviews is Dion Dawkins, obviously
Yeah.
another offensive lineman. I see the smile on your face as I mention his name. What are the players like that to hang around with? Obviously, veterans of the game now, one of the best at his position as well.
Yeah.
Has he or anyone in particular been a real sort of good guide to you or a mentor to you since you joined the team?
Yeah, I mean I can't pick out anyone individually because everyone is so welcoming. All the veterans will try and help all the younger guys to get better. And that was a little bit of a shock to see because I maybe would have thought that the veterans don't want to help the younger guys because they don't want them to try and come and take their job. Um, but it's yeah, it's great. It's great for them to be able to teach me, be able to pull me aside and teach me a different technique, or like this should be done this way, or just kind of tell me to be myself because sometimes I think too much about the technique rather than like using my like athletic ability.
Because you mentioned that earlier about like speed only gets you so far. So
Yeah.
going into this season then and this kind of off season in particular, like how are you finding your acclimatization to seeing the play unfold in front of you, your raw athletic ability versus your recognition now? Like how are you seeing that kind of come on in that respect?
I mean, compare like this time last year, if I was to look back on it, like the game has slowed down so much for me in terms of like plays. Like plays in my brain now, as soon as it's called in the huddle, I'll know like my responsibility. But now it's just about reaction time of what do I do if this happens? What do I do if this happens? Um, which will just take, it's just the more football I play, the more I'll be able to react with that. It's just about repetition, like keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
I've spoken to Lewis Summit in the past about learning a playbook. I spoke to him just after he signed initially for the Chiefs, and he said
Yeah.
he was basically finishing training, going and learning it and trying to study it. What does an offensive lineman's playbook look like compared to maybe a wide receiver that he was in that moment?
I mean, I've never seen a wide receiver playbook, so I honestly have no clue. I have not got a clue. I mean, with the O line, it will tell us like our responsibilities, what our run blocks are going to be. I mean, if it's a pass play, it will show us like which side is the slide side and which side isn't. Who we have, but I have no clue what the receiver playbook looks like. Maybe it'll be more focused on the routes they're running rather than what the five big guys are doing at the front.
Was it a bit of a learning curve, though? The idea of learning a playbook, and rugby is a structured game, but NFL is
Yeah.
is very technical and structured in every play.
Yeah, like mentally, yeah, football is much more. I mean, I didn't play rugby at a very high level, but I mean, football mentally, there's a lot more to know. A lot more plays to be called. It's just more mentally like intense than I'd say rugby.
I'll never get over that play call. So like you mentioned about understanding what your kind of contribution is to the play in that
Yeah,
play call. I'll never understand. So I don't know if you've ever seen Drew Brees was on one of like the nighttime shows in America explaining one of these calls, and you rattle it all off from memory a lot of the time,
yeah,
and then at the end he shouts "kill, kill," and I don't understand how you guys cope because you've then got to basically say at any time he's going to shout an audible, and
yeah,
it's going to be
yeah,
something
yeah.
different, and you go, "What was all that for?" It's a bizarre concept.
It's it is bizarre,
Yeah.
but it has to be done because there may be a coverage where we're trying to run a play against that doesn't fit our play. So you have to be able to the quarterback's gonna have to be able to realize that and that we want to change the play and then run a different play.
Have you spent much time in practice doing reps with Josh Allen? Obviously, one of the most talented, the most highly sought after. I know Jake believes he's the best quarterback in the whole of the NFL. What's it been like working with such a star like himself?
I mean, in regards to reps, I haven't actually had too many reps with Josh Allen. I mean, coming into the new team, most of my reps have been with the twos and the threes. Um, but from like him as a like person and the way he is, he's just such a great guy. He's there to help us. He's funny. He's really funny. Um, and I think everyone can see that he's the same as he is in interviews that he is like if I saw him in the grocery store. The exact same person.
Do you even when watching him in practice, even if you're not at the same reps as him, do
Yeah.
you recognize that talent though? It jumps off the screen, or I mean, in person must be even more immediately obvious.
Yeah, no, it's everything just looks effortless for him, like completely effortless. Everything looks easy. Um, yeah, that's the only way I can put it. He just makes the game look so simple. Whether he's gonna keep the ball and run and jump over people, or if he's gonna throw the ball out to one of our receivers, he just makes it look so easy.
I'm gonna make a fool of myself here. Jake, please correct me when I'm wrong. But the twos and threes at quarterback would be Mitch Trubisky and Mike White.
Yeah.
Is
Yes,
that right?
and Shane Rochelle, yeah,
Yes. So is those guys you're spending more time working with as well?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are they like? Maybe not as funny as Josh Allen, but what has it been like working with those
Nah,
guys?
that's still funny. They're great people, great footballers. Like everyone knows quarterbacks in the NFL. You have to be a certain type of breed to be able to be a quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, so these guys are just great guys, and they make the game look effortless too. Like they just slow down the game. And all quarterbacks have such big responsibilities of like calling the play or changing the play. So yeah, I've got a lot of respect for quarterbacks.
What's it like working with Aaron Cromer? So he's won a Super Bowl with LA.
Yep.
He's back in Buffalo for his second stint, and a large part of the Bills, particularly the run game, the success and the turnaround that has had since his time there. What's it like working with a coach like Aaron Cromer?
Honestly, I mean, I haven't been able to work with any other offensive line
Mm.
coach, but I hear all the time from players that have come to Buffalo that he is probably like the best coach in the NFL, best offensive line coach in the NFL. A lot of his work is emphasized so much on technique, and I think you can see that with the way our run game is, how much of a big impact it has, and how much room we give our running backs. Whether it's like third down, whether it's like 4th and 1, 4th and 2, we're still going for that.
So, sorry, Phil, but
No,
fourth
go
and
on.
one, fourth and one. Then, so there's been a big debate this summer about a certain play, which admittedly Buffalo have run really well. Then the team took a stand against it. Um, but I mean, from your perspective, where would you like to line up on? Obviously, I know they're going to put you at tackle, but any desire to get in behind? Any desire to take like the William Perry like refrigerator moment? Like
I mean,
where do you stand on tush
if I get the
push?
opportunity to get anywhere on that field, then I'm gonna take the opportunity with two hands and run with it.
Just crush it. That's
Do you
Yeah.
fair.
do you like the tush push?
I mean, it's a football play at the end of the day. If it works, it works.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
my standpoint on it as well. If it works and it's legal, like,
yeah,
Yeah.
if people start doing stuff that's illegal, then it should be taken out. I think anyway. But yeah, it's a football
Hey,
play.
you're ex-rugby, like, and it doesn't
Yeah, it's
get
like a
much more
scrum.
rugby than that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
that must be second nature to you. Just quickly going back to like the play calling and stuff like that. Are there any sort of American football slang terms that even now, after a year in the game, you know you have to go, what the heck did that mean?
Um, no, I don't think there's anything out there which I don't understand. In terms of like slang. Um, Not off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything now.
Have any of the guys given you any stick about any Britishisms, I guess, then, or
Yeah.
the versa?
the look that came down.
Yeah. But
Okay.
like it's all fun. Like everyone just has a bit of banter, a bit of a laugh. I think you can even see on some of my Instagram posts some of the comments and just like they say like bruv.
It's bruv the big one. I felt like your face
Yeah.
made as if there was a story there when I said it.
Yeah, bruv is the big one, yeah.
Is that like your common? Is that your go-to?
I don't actually feel like I say it a lot. I don't know if I do, but apparently so I do.
Well, we've got to get a few more brubs in before the end of the episode, for sure. Obviously, the rookie season wasn't to plan. Shoulder injury last summer. How are you doing now, fitness-wise? How is the shoulder?
Yeah, shoulder's amazing. Shoulders back to normal. Probably even stronger than it originally was before I even got injured.
I'm gonna,
Um,
sorry, go on.
no, you're good. Then carry on, carry on.
I was just going to ask, I've spoken to loads of, people who play sports, in my career, and a lot of them talk about dark times or struggles, particularly when they're sat trying to break into a sport, with an injury, whether that be shoulder, ACL, whatever it is. How did you find that time? I guess you must have been so eager last season to make your mark, and then to have the
Yeah,
injury must be, bottom line must have sucked.
yeah. No, 100% it did suck. Um, I remember doing it. I remember the pain I felt, and I kind of knew something was wrong. Um, and I just wanted to get it fixed, like ASAP, like hoping to get back. But with the labrum tear, because it was such a big labrum tear, it kept me out the entire season. But I kind of try not to think about it in a bad way. I kind of think of it as like a blessing and as like an advantage for myself. Like coming into the new sport has kind of slowed everything down for me, rather than just like kind of being thrown in and chucked in for it. But yeah, that's the only way I look at it. I don't look at it in a negative way at all.
How has your first proper off season been then? This last few months.
Yeah, good. I mean, I stayed for a little bit just until my shoulder. Stayed in Buffalo for a little bit just until my shoulder got right. I didn't want to leave, and then my shoulder not be right, and then I'm just stuck. But yeah, it was good. Bit of a different off season than I originally had, but it was a good off season.
And OTAs recently as well.
Yeah.
Any sort of standouts? Any players that you've looked at? Any of the rookies as well that have come through that caught your eye, or even your own performance and improvement?
Yeah, I mean, in regards to myself, I can tell that I've improved massively. Um, but with myself, I tend to get annoyed when I mess up. And in football, you can't do that because there's a play coming straight after. Like if you mess something up, you got to forget about that. That's done. That's in the past, and you just have to focus on the next play. Because if you get in your head, it's just a waterfall effect.
Do you have a sort of a favorite drill during the OTAs and now heading into training camp?
Um, I mean, I like pass when we do pass. Like pass drills. There's a 2 bag drill where we basically pass set one direction and the guy holding the bag will just run head first as fast as they can at you holding the bag, and you just gotta not move and get your stance right, plant your feet and get your hips under you and punch away with 2 hands. Um, that's probably one of my favorite drills.
I know another thing I saw online that you'd said was sort of the challenge of learning how to position your body, I think is how you just
Yeah,
is a difference
yeah,
from rugby to playing offensive lineman and twisting and bending in a particular way. Can you just go into a bit more detail about that and how that does differ?
yeah. I mean, from a winger to an offensive lineman, as a winger, you're constantly sprinting up and down that line. Um, Whereas an offensive lineman as a tackle, I mean, there may be like a toss crack play where you have to get going, or like an outside run play where you have to get going, or if you're pulling, you got to get on your way. Um, but when you're passing, you need to be more like heavy footed and more grounded so you can get that strength from beneath your feet and beneath your hips so you can punch away on the D lineman.
Can I ask as well, in terms of so going from rugby then into football, you go into the academy and the pathway. What's it like trying to acclimatise to suddenly having to wear pads, what feels like quite a big kind of helmet, some of the other gear? Because I always look at that and I think, like, particularly with receivers, anyway, the ball coming over the shoulder, like I don't have the peripheral vision to see the ball. But it's the same for all players. But I mean,
Yeah.
what was that like acclimatizing to having to wear the gear?
I mean, in the IPP, I think I can't actually remember exactly how I felt, but I think I remember feeling like I can't really move. And obviously you're wearing a helmet, so you're quite restricted, which means that you have to actually turn your head in different directions for any position on a football team. But now when I play, it doesn't even, I don't even realize it's on.
It's a bit of a cliche, I am aware, and lots of people like to on social media make jokes about it. But as someone who's played both rugby and American football, how does the physicality differ between the two? 'Cause you see rugby fans all the time saying, "Oh, we don't wear pads. Ours is a more hardcore sport." And then American football fans show highlights of players hurtling 100 miles an hour into each other. How have you found the difference in physicality?
It's kind of a difficult one to say because in football, you can kind of get hit anywhere on your body, but you're wearing pads, right? But that kind of means you could even get like a finger in the eye at one point from like going through your helmet. You're getting punched at the neck from a D lineman. You may even be getting like double teamed like straight into the quarterback from like a D lineman or a D end. And then with rugby, it is no pads, but at the same time, you can't tackle below like above a certain point on the body, so it's kind of safer in that aspect. Like you see people in football and they're just like diving in at people's ankles or just taking them clean out. Um, where in like rugby, if you hit someone like up here, you're gonna get penalised.
I remember seeing a highlights video on YouTube of sort of moments where receivers have been receiving punts and they're just looking up in the air for the ball and getting absolutely cleaned out. And you watch the first two and you just think, I wouldn't want to do that role. That's not for me at all.
But you gotta catch it. You got. That's their job to protect the ball. That's what they gotta do. If they know they're gonna get nailed, you gotta catch that ball.
I think I'd happily take the backup punter position on the. If I can be the punter on the practice squad, I'll happily do that gig. That's the gig for like 20, 25 years. Travel around America. That's ideal, right? That's what you want.
I I would be waving fair catch if I was a receiver on every play. Don't want any of that at all. Looking ahead to next season, then or this year, but 2025.
Yep.
What's Travis Clayton's goals, personal goals now? Obviously, we've got roster cuts to come. As an
Yep.
IPP player, you sort of have that safety blanket in a way of being able to be on the practice squad as an extra member, regardless. But I imagine, and like every player, you will have bigger aspirations than that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think if you're coming into the NFL and your target is to be on the practice squad, I think you should be in in the league. You want to be in the active roster. That's why I've been drafted. I'm just going to be working my socks off until then, working hard throughout training camp. Hopefully make an impression in preseason games, and then we'll know at the start of September what the team will be.
Who are the preseason games? Please excuse my knowledge on that. I don't
I,
know.
we have the Giants, I think, at home, and then we got the Bears away, and then we got the Bucks in Tampa.
Okay, so New York, sort of derby, so to speak, for the first
Yeah,
game. That
yeah.
would be your first game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, first ever football game. Yeah,
Which
which
seems mad because you were drafted 14 months ago or whatever
yeah,
it
it
would
seems
be.
like a long time ago since I got drafted.
I bet you must be itching to get out there.
Yeah, no, I am really looking forward to it. Just showing everyone why I belong here. Um, and just to actually play my first actual game will be a big achievement for me.
No, I mean, we all can't wait to watch as well. We mentioned the offensive line coach a minute ago. What's it like being working with Sean McDermott as well as the head coach, of course, of the Buffalo Bills, and another member of the coaching staff who gets, such high praise in the media for the job he's done?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell by results, and I mean, look at our record last year. Look at where the Bills have been the last few years since he's got into the Bills organization, how successful they've been over the last few years. Um, I feel like with Sean, you can go to him for anything. Even if it's like family related, you can kind of go to his office, speak to him. He's that kind of guy to approach.
I imagine he has, like your aspirations for on a personal level, his aspirations for the team, because
Yeah.
you say the team's been really successful in the last few years. But it's sort of been that final hurdle. I know Jake, like every year,
Oh
gets
God,
excited
yeah.
when it comes to the playoffs and then ends up frustrated. It's often at the hands of Kansas City. Well, I'll ask you both. Is this the year? Like, Jake, how's your confidence level? And then Travis, what is the mood in the camp? Everyone must be talking about going for a Lombardi this year.
I'm confident in so much as I think the Bills will be there or thereabouts. I think going into last season, I think you'd have said that Philly were good. They were going to be there or thereabouts. No one had them as Super Bowl favourites. Um, that grew over the course of the season. So I think we can comfortably say that going into the season, Buffalo is probably a top five, top six team. And then the rest will play out in January. And there's some poor franchises that are probably bottom five, bottom six, and we can already write them off now. And I remember when Buffalo was one of those teams. So I'm just glad that it's now the opposite end of the spectrum. So I'm one of those that it's not Super Bowl or bust. I'm just a happy fan at the moment. So um, don't take the pressure off too much, Trav. I'd love if you could bring it home, but yeah, no extra pressure from me. Don't worry.
Is that the talk though? Not that we haven't even had the first preseason game yet though, but this is a team with a very good roster.
Well, I mean, every team in the NFL, goal is to win the Super Bowl. That it'd be silly to not have that target. I'm not going to sit there and make predictions about where we're going to be. Like we're going to win the Super Bowl. We just take every training session as it comes, every day as it comes. We work hard. We're a family, um, and we'll take every game as it comes every week just to get a win.
Well, I wish the Buffalo Bills luck. I wanted to just circle back to the start and sort of the UK, because obviously this is a UK NFL podcast. Myself and Jake both from Wales. You know, what would be your message to anyone young watching the NFL over here who wants to get into it? Obviously, there's the NFL Academy, the IPP as
Yeah.
well. What have you learned in your time trying to get into the game, but also particularly in the last 14 months or so since being drafted?
I mean, I can see that flag football in the UK has considerably got bigger. I've seen they've introduced it into schools. There's tournaments all over the UK at the minute. I'm pretty sure every time I go on the NFL UK website, there's a NFL flag championship somewhere. Um, but yeah, for kids that want to get into football, younger kids, I'd say your first step is to firstly watch American football, and then just get into flag football. I mean, it's a fun game. It's a really really fun game to play.
I forgot to ask you right at the start. What was your first memory of watching football as a kid?
I mean, the first memory I'd say would probably be Odell's catch for the Giants. I think that was well, I mean, that still is arguably one of the greatest catches of all time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, when I first saw that catch, I was like, okay, yeah, this is pretty insane.
Yeah, that one stands in my head as well. Probably wrongly, but Garrett Wilson's one, was it last year? Is probably watching live one of the only other ones where I've watched and gone, I don't know how he's done it. It just doesn't make sense to me physics wise how that being caught. They've got a great question as well. One of our writers messaged me earlier to ask if you could swap one rule from rugby and NFL. If you could swap one of them around now playing in the NFL, is there something about the game of rugby that you miss playing over in the States that you would draw over?
I mean, I would say to make sure that everyone to touch the ball, but you can call plays where a tackle is eligible for a catch, so that could happen. And I mean, you see people throwing lateral passes all the time nowadays. It's a pretty common thing in the NFL, for a lateral pass to be played, which is kind of similar to rugby. Um, just trying to think. I think maybe the rugby could try an extra point because obviously it's 2 point for a conversion, right? But maybe they could try like a 3 point conversion and try to get another try. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, so a 2 point conversion in the rugby. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like
that'd be
that.
pretty cool.
A 3 point conversion in
Three.
rugby. We'd love to see
I
that.
don't know how it would work. Maybe like a line out and then you play from there, but I have no clue how
Yeah,
it
you
would
can
work.
either choose a 5 meter scrum or a 5 meter line out.
Yeah,
Choose one.
yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
See, I reckon Sinbin's the one to bring over. Like,
Yeah, Simbin.
could you not see that? Like a scenario where, I don't know, like Pat Mahomes gets caught on like a flagrant and he gets sin-binned for 10 minutes of the second half. Just like imagine what the betting companies would have to do if sin-binning was a thing.
You're showing your Bills colours. You had to pick Patrick Mahomes, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
there you go.
You're dreaming about him getting sin binned still.
Yeah.
Travis, thank you very, very much for joining us.
No
It's been
worries.
a pleasure chatting to you. Good luck to the Bills. Good luck to yourself as well. Best of luck in pre-season, and hopefully we'll see you on the field as well during a regular season game.
Thank you very much, guys.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sam.
very much.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
A big thank you to Travis, and a massive thank you as well, it has to be said, to the Buffalo Bills, who were excellent whilst communicating with them to organise the interview. As I said right at the start, it was brilliant to chat to Travis. Me and Jake have had a brilliant week organising this, setting it up and chatting to him. A few more to come as well. We've got a Ravens player, I think a Chargers player I've half lined up as well, which will be interesting, and other teams as well, a few ex-players as well who you'll all be familiar with. So make sure to follow us on everything as well. Jake, big thank you to you as well for joining me on this venture. I'm sure you had a good time as well chatting to a player of your favourite team. And that's it from us. Thank you very, very much for listening. Remember to subscribe, like, and all the rest of that. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Huddle UK podcast.